Yeah, I'm Cara Hazelton, and I own Precision Pilates in Fredericton, New Brunswick, which, if anyone's not in Canada, that's in Canada. I also own Authentic Pilates Canada, which is a teacher training program. So I
Oh,
have the
cool.
two businesses. Yep, the actual studio location is Precision Pilates.
Okay, and that's like the house for all the other projects that you got going
That's
on.
right, all the projects. Yep.
Very cool. So now with your teacher training, is it connected with another organization, or is it like your own curriculum you wrote and just did the whole nine?
Well, no, it didn't start out that way. It actually started out, I had a contract signed with Brooke Seiler to use her manual with
Hmm.
my training because writing a manual is just like,
Yeah,
yeah, crazy, right? So,
right.
so I was able to use her manual for the first round of teacher training, and then it kind of morphed from there. Her manual's fantastic, but it was not quite what I wanted. I co-taught a teacher training program in Toronto, and I learned a lot from that particular program. And then
Hmm.
I've kind of continued to evolve a little bit. I mean, that's what
Sure,
happens, right? As we learn and make mistakes, we kind of make things better. So I'm working on
absolutely.
a manual at the moment, but I think not in the sense of the manual that you're familiar with and I'm familiar with from Peak, which is just an insane, huge amount of information and overload almost, right?
Right, right.
Um, and I have been using actually, you might be familiar with Christina Gadar in Florida.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, she has
I've had
those
her on.
amazing books. You have. So you're
Hmm.
familiar with her books, the Pilates workbook and,
And the animal
um,
one and the kids
mhm,
ones. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. I have permission from her to use the first one, the Pilates workbook that has the basic and intermediate mat and reformer, as well as the magic circle hand weights and wall.
Sure.
So I've been using that for the last couple of years for the first kind of two to 400 hour portions of the teacher training program.
Yes,
Because why reinvent the wheel? Her book is brilliant and we can
absolutely.
just kind of build on it from there. So that's been
Hmm.
nice as well to have that, community spirit from her to be able to, because that's what she's put the information out there for, really.
That's what it should be for,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's great. And I love that. And a big fan of Brooke Seiler as well. And
Hmm.
I think that it's really interesting that we were saying, because like as we think about the people that it's the same way as we say for training, right? Like you train the body that's in front of you, the human in front of you, the person that's in front of you. And the same thing for a teacher training. So, off the shelf, it may not fit your population, or there may be things that you want to put your signature on and add to it and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't want to write a manual right off the bat because you're going to make mistakes.
Hmm.
And if write a 600-page manual, mistakes can be very timely.
Yeah.
so so I think it's good that I've taken the first teacher training program I did was in 2014. So we're 7 years
Yes.
in now. So I've had a lot of time to figure out where I want to add a little more information or where maybe less information is actually the better case.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because you think of Benjamin Durgenhart with your 360 online. It's
Hmm.
very minimalist. It's like here's a
Yes.
picture and place your own words in it, right? So
Yes.
there's a sense that yeah, sometimes less is more. And for our growing students, for them to not just memorize how we teach, but for them to take ownership of that teaching process and that
That's
learning
right.
process
That's
is
right.
key.
I think I learned best from some of my own really bad stick figures. You know, the stick figures you draw with like the arrows making the head
Yes,
go this
going
way and
that
the arms go.
way.
Yeah,
Yes,
right. Yes.
yes,
So my stick figures are great, but you wouldn't understand my stick figures and I wouldn't understand your stick figures. So I think
right.
it's important for a manual or a training program to have space for people to draw their own stick figures. That's
That's well put. It's true. It
yeah.
is true. So what has been some of your takeaways? What have been some of the things that you said? Okay, when I'm doing my thing, I want to make sure that I highlight this, or that this was redundant because we see it here, here, here. Like, is there anything that stands out that like is going to be besides what you just said a minute ago about giving space for them to write their own interpretation? Was there something that you would
Hmm.
have added?
Um, Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it just takes that time and practice for us as teacher trainers to make sure that our apprentices become really confident with the work itself, right? So I think it really reinforcing that personal practice and that time to spend with every exercise and every variation of every exercise. So the roll up, for example, a really basic exercise, but when we explore it as the press down or the pull up on the Wunda chair, it's
Hmm.
something else. And so I think making those connections in the manuals. So
Yes.
when I did the peak program, it was done as and I'm not sure when you did yours, but mine was done. We just did Mat Reformer Cadillac, and the chairs and
Yes.
barrels were separate. So I
Right.
did it a long time ago, and I think making sure that it's understood for apprentices that these pieces are really so together in the system that
Yes.
nothing lives on its own and everything is really cohesive. So I think
Yes.
there's room for that when I write my manual as I continue to write it, that it'll be lots of links to, where do we see this? Those kind of shapes in space that we talked
Yes.
about in the peak program, that,
Right.
that where else do we see this, and how does it, and even how does it apply to real life? So where do we see a roll up in real life? Where do we do
Mm.
that when we're picking up our kids' toys off the floor, or, where do we see it? So
Yes.
I think that is probably important.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what made you decide to do this in Atlantic Canada? Like why New Brunswick for this what you
Well,
do?
yeah, I mean, I'm born and raised in Nova Scotia,
Okay.
and I moved to Fredericton after I graduated university. I did a business degree at Mount St. Vincent in Halifax, and I moved to Fredericton for a job. And then I met a boy and got married and had kids, and so here I am. And
Right.
I've since divorced, and I've done the whole thing, right?
Right.
But I still have the kids, and I had been an athlete my whole life. I grew up as a competitive figure skater, and
Mhm.
in my 20s turned into a rock climber and a rock climbing coach and an ice climber coach for little kids, like little kids coaching,
Nice,
and
Claire. Hey, Claire.
so this athletic endeavor has always been there for me. It's been really important to be someone who moves a lot, because I think from a young age I understood that equated to me being mentally strong, and in the
Yes.
80s and 90s we weren't really talking about mental health like we do today, for sure.
Right.
But I
We
understood
saw
that.
we saw the benefit of that outlet, but we didn't have a label for it yet.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I understood the benefit of me being physically active was not murdering people. I knew that.
Right. Yes.
So it made sense to keep moving.
Yes.
So here I was living in Fredericton, and I was working a full-time job for a company, a figure skating company actually. And I had my first child, and that job had required a lot of travel and all these things. And so I had been doing Pilates, small C Pilates here in New Brunswick for a little while after the birth of my daughter,
Yes.
and I thought maybe this would be a really neat transition. And so I
Mhm.
researched teacher training programs, and everyone around here had gone to Toronto or had done something locally, and it was with Stott or Body
Stott.
Harmonics.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Body
Right.
Harmonics is popular here. And when I researched for us in New Brunswick, Boston is a really quick drive from here. I say quick, it's an 8 hour drive, but
Right.
it's not crazy, and it doesn't require a plane. I can just get in the car and go.
Right.
And so I chose Peak for my
Mhm.
training program. So, and I was living here. So here we are. I was the first classical Pilates teacher in the Maritimes. Wow.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
Yeah. It was a bit
And
of re-education for everybody
yes.
who had and still has in their mind what Pilates is, and some who
Hmm.
didn't know that Pilates was a person. We see that a little
Yes.
bit. So
Yes.
it's been some re-education. But it's been fun.
Yeah, for sure. Or
Hmm.
like you thought that like Plies was just a dancer somewhere, right?
Right.
So it's like, oh, that's not for me. Oh, it is for me. Oh,
It
so cool.
is.
What's the difference?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I see Claire saying hi to you there in the chat,
Hi,
and then
Claire.
and Amy Ross just showed up as well. Let's see.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Claire's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was cool having her on. We are talking about the writing of the curriculum itself, right?
Hmm.
Because when I did some like kind of special interest, just like a math class, just for the sake of understanding it for my own body, and then way down the line did the peak one, and that made so much sense to me. And then I did an apprenticeship afterwards,
Hmm.
and then in that apprenticeship, it made the peak stuff make more sense, and it made
Yes.
even the mat stuff I did before that make more sense, because then
Yes.
it was presented in a way where like, well, this is all part of a system, and then the pieces that I learned in peak, it helped me to understand how they were setting up for exercises, and some were movement prep, and then some were, all these different things. So it's so funny how um, the more that we continue our education, even when we think we've arrived, if we're continuing to learn more and understand more, even the stuff that we thought we knew has
Oh,
more
yeah.
to it.
Right.
Right? I mean, it sounds pretty
Absolutely.
like we know that in sense, but when you put it into practice and you have those aha moments with the exercise you've been doing for 10 years,
Right.
that's pretty cool.
Yes, absolutely. I try to tell my apprentices this, that, and this is what Claire told us and Pam told us was, you graduate from your teacher training program and it's like getting your beginner's permit. This is the
Right.
driver's permit you get when you're 16. You're not
Yes.
you're allowed to drive on the road with real cars and real people, but
Yes.
you're not really a driver yet.
Right.
We're letting
I
you out
yes.
there. We hope you don't hurt
Yes.
anyone, but you're
Right.
not quite there. And
Yes.
that's where apprentices are, and that's where new teachers are, and that's where I am in comparison to someone like Claire, right? I mean,
Hmm.
it's this continual. I think back, I have clients now who, after almost 15 years, have been with me since the beginning. And I'm like, oh, I can't believe they stuck around, because
Right.
some of the stuff I said and asked them to do, and as a
Hmm.
new teacher and didn't know how to correct, or maybe
Those,
spent time overcorrecting, and
yes.
all the things we learn not to do. And
Yes.
yeah, here they are, they're still with me. So yeah, I guess I'm
Oh,
doing something right, but
yes.
it's a
So
journey, and
funny.
it's a journey, and it's fun to have those moments. We have them in the studio all the time. My studio's like a big family, and we work out together, and we play together, and we work together, and we're friends, and our kids are friends. And so it's really a nice situation that we've got. And
Hmm.
I'll be doing an exercise and say, "Oh my, this is like that other thing." And I get these looks like, "Don't you know that?" Well, I do, but sometimes, so it was maybe a year or so ago. So I had still been teaching more than 10 years when I
Yes.
had this realization. The supine frog on the Wonder chair, and your feet are like this on the pedal.
Yes.
I had this like aha moment with that, and the foot position on the baby armchair, and
Yes.
the seated magic circle exercise between your feet, and like a whole bunch of other places where we see this shape. And I
Yes.
went, oh, okay,
Huh?
okay, these things are, and this is after 10 years of teaching and seeing it. But that's the beauty of this method, because that
Yes.
that evolution is there for us to have. Yeah.
Absolutely. I call those cringe-worthy moments where you look back and you just go like, "Oh, I can't believe I said that," or "Oh, I can't believe I taught it like that," or "Oh, I can't," because and then
Yeah.
we move past that. We're like, "Oh, they're fine." Like, like
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. They're fine. They're fine.
they're
And
fine.
the thing I always try to get the apprentices to understand too is the clients don't have a clue. They don't know.
Right.
They don't know if you've messed up the order and taught them something before it should have been taught, or after, or you completely forgot to teach spine stretch. Like, who cares? They don't have
Yep.
a clue. And even if they know the order, they're going to be like, well, I guess she's leaving it out for a reason today.
Right.
The
Yes.
reason is she didn't have enough coffee, but
Right,
whatever.
exactly. Or my clients will say, "Oh, is this a train the trainer moment?" When they're like setting up for the next exercise. I'm like, "Right, that is next. Okay, proceed. Like, you know,
As you were. Yes,
as you
exactly.
were.
Yeah.
Just play it off. Like, good, you remember.
Yeah,
Excellent.
good
Let's do
job.
it. Yes.
You were being tested.
Yes. Yep, that happens.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I love that driver analogy too, right? Because I mean, it's like we are safe to operate. That's all it
Yes.
means.
That's all it means.
You are safe to operate. Now
Yep.
let's get proficient. You know what I mean? Like you're not Lewis Hamilton. You can't do an F1 yet, but you can get out there,
Yeah.
and we trust that you're not going to hurt somebody.
Right.
And your learning will continue till further notice,
Yeah, forever.
also known as forever.
Yeah. I think too, whoa, my tripod fell over. I caught you. You didn't hit the floor.
There you go. That's Pilates right there. You see that
You're right
reaction
there.
time?
Quick reflexes like a
Boom.
cat.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I think that understanding, and it's difficult because we have an ego. Everybody has an ego, and reconciling and understanding and being okay with the fact that you don't know everything is difficult and good to learn how to
Yes.
do. And also getting really comfortable with saying, I don't know, but I can find out.
Mm, thank
And
you.
I relied on Claire heavily,
Hmm.
especially as a new teacher with a client who came to me with something I had never seen before. You know, I'd send her an email, hey, help,
Right.
because I I wanted to make sure that I was on the right track and, you know, all those things. And I think so. I remember Claire's interview with you talking about that mentorship piece and having someone
Yes.
to talk to about these things. And so
Hmm.
I think apprenticeships continue after you graduate with that learner's permit.
And don't you feel like that sense of having a mentor is becoming more normalized as well? Like we talk about the ego piece. It's like 10 years ago, no one would ever admit that they had a therapist or they never admit that they had a
Right.
counselor, right? And
Right.
you know what I mean? Like it would be a moment of shame to say that I had to humble myself and go and get some kind of help.
Sure.
And now it's you watch every show, it's like, oh, my therapist. And it's like a badge of honor to say you have a therapist in your hip pocket. I think that mentoring is moving that way too, where it's no longer me just by myself and proving how smart I am and how resourceful I am. It's me saying I have this mentor or this person who's helping me, or I have a
Right.
business coach, or I have a whatever.
Right.
Like having somebody in your corner to help you isn't a sign of weakness anymore. It is actually a sign of
No.
wisdom.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, we all have our areas of expertise, and we all have areas where we know a little and maybe only enough to get us into trouble. So,
Yes.
those are those areas that we need to have mentors or coaches in, whether it's a business
Hmm.
coach or a marriage coach or, you know,
Yeah.
your mentor in whatever your chosen field is.
Right.
That's, yeah, I think that's really important to be able to say, this is outside of my lane right now, and
Hmm.
I need to go find someone who drives over there and can point me in the right direction.
Absolutely. Can we talk about Pilates in Fredericton for a second here?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Because I'm in Mississauga, which
Yep.
is just outside of Toronto. So, like, my small city is 1 million people outside of Toronto, which
Yeah.
is 2 million
Yeah.
people. So then you think, okay, well, I'm not going to put a studio in Orangeville because there's only 500,000 people, or I'm not going to go to a different spot. So, what is the attitude towards Pilates in your area? Is it like one of those things where it's too expensive and it's too elitist, or do we, you know what I mean? Is there a
Um,
lot of good uptake from it?
so we have about 40,000 people in the immediate city, and maybe in surrounding areas, maybe up to 65 or 70,000 people. It's not a very big area.
Okay.
Um, I'm not sure what the general attitude is in terms of people who maybe go to the gym or people who don't exercise at all. You know,
Hmm.
I don't talk to a lot of these people. But
Yes.
I think that when people have come to me, a lot of people equate it with yoga. Well, it's like yoga.
Yeah. Right.
And we hear that a lot, and you probably hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. And so that just takes that little bit of education to, well, it's like yoga in that you do it with a human body and it moves.
And you have a mat.
So
Yes.
And you have a mat. So in those ways, so would be sleeping, like
Right.
yoga or Pilates, right? And we do it with a
Right.
mat and with a human body. So um, yeah, it's just I think a lot of the people that come to me that have either okay, so for men, for example, and you probably
Hmm.
see this too, men come to me for two reasons: their wife sent them, or
Yep.
their doctor sent them.
Right.
Right? Two reasons.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
so so
Yes.
and they're usually surprised, and the men who come to me almost never leave. Like
That's
they
it.
come and
Yeah.
they're there because
Their
they're
wives
there
might
for these
drop off,
different
but they
reasons.
continue, right?
Yeah, I mean Pilates is expensive, and um, so it is. I don't know what to say. I've put a lot of money into having a fully equipped studio, and a lot of money
Hmm.
into my training, and a lot of money into my education. I'm working on a master's degree. Like I have value, and so I charge what I charge, and it is what it is. I
Yes.
consider what I do to be like the difference between a BMW and a Ford Tempo, right?
Right.
And so I get that that's elitist. That's my business model.
Hmm.
That's the route I've chosen to take with my studio. So
For
that's where
sure.
I'm at. It's expensive, but it is what it isn't. I mean, online mat classes are, if you have a package, like $16 a pop.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's not that expensive, really. I mean, in
Right.
comparison to
Exactly.
lots of other things.
Yeah. There's
So
bundles that can meet people wherever they're at. That's exactly
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And do you have a focus in terms of corrective exercise or performance or like referrals from doctors? Is there anything you fall into as a niche?
No, and I think that's because of the population. I mean, I just have
Okay.
to take clients. So,
Right.
yeah, each of my teachers has kind of found a place where they like to be,
Hmm.
or where they excel. And so, certainly, like, I've got one teacher who's pretty athletic and has a lot of experience with athletes and her own self as well, and has played a lot of different sports and this kind of thing. And she's like spunky and upbeat and strong personality. She spent some time in the military for many years, and so she's got, she can be authoritative, and
Yes.
and so a certain type of client gravitates to her. And when I meet
Yeah.
people for a consultation, I'm like, oh, they're going to be great with Sandrine
They're gonna
because she
love
can
her. Yeah.
motivate them. And
Yes.
then sometimes you get those clients that come in and they're really timid and they're very unsure, and it wouldn't be advisable to put them with someone like me or Sandrine. We're great teachers, but that's not what that person needs. And so I've got a
Yes.
couple teachers in my studio who are a little more soft spoken
Hmm.
and, excellent teachers and can make you, they're kind of, it's a kind of a deception to me because they can make you work really hard
Yes.
and say it in such a way that you think that you're being given a bowl of ice cream,
Right.
right? Like,
Love that.
here, burn your abs. Here, this is for you. This is going to make you sore for days. It's going to be wonderful. Let's do three more. You know what I mean? And
You're
meanwhile,
like, you're
Sandrine
like,
and
oh,
I are like, okay, come on, let's do, so there's
yeah,
that.
yeah.
so,
So
so
funny.
in a studio, in a place, I mean, if, in a community as big as where you are with 1 million people, you could have a Pilates studio that specifically only worked with athletes, or
Right.
specifically only worked with people with chronic illness, or that's
Right.
that's not really possible with the population as small as Fredericton is. So we are chameleons, because the Pilates
Hmm.
method itself is a chameleon, isn't it? It can
It
do
is.
just
Well
about
said.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And my favorite question to ask always is, well, who is your favorite client? And like, if someone walks in the door and they have this condition, or they're training for this sport, or they're male, or they're female, or they're a larger body, or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is there someone that excites you? Like, I will train you
Yep.
for free the rest of my life
Yep.
because it's so
The
awesome.
person, it doesn't matter anything about their physicality, their sports, their whatever. It's the person who comes in and wants it.
Ah,
They
yes.
they want to get better, whether it's for performance or because they have chronic pain or because they're depressed or they lack confidence or because they're
They have kids
overweight
at
or
home and they have no
underweight or their kids.
energy or
I don't care any of that.
right.
None of that
Yes.
matters to me. It's the person that comes in and does as they're told and works really hard. And I mean, I don't mean does,
Subservience.
yeah,
Yes.
not quite, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean, right? Like
Yes. Yes.
they trust the process.
Thank you. Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. Not to
Yes.
make it a sexist thing, but I've heard
Yep.
so many times on the show that a lot of women and men too like working with men because once they get it and they locked into Pilates, they're like, okay, what's next? Okay,
Yeah.
let's get it. Like they're just like they're
Yep.
locked in.
Yeah, I like working
You,
with men for sure. I like working with men, especially really big men, because I'm strong. I'm a strong teacher, and so the touch techniques and the ways that I can help manipulate their body and stretch them and help them
yes,
find length, I
right.
can work myself really hard, working them really hard, which I really enjoy because I
Yes.
find I've got these two guys actually who have done a duet at our studio for a long time. They laugh, we're here for a duet. And
I hate calling them duets for that very reason, but anyway.
I know, right? So,
Yeah.
but they come in and we have a
Tag team
laugh
wrestling, maybe like the tag
and
teaming, like
and you
I
know
don't know.
what? One of them came because his wife brought him,
Yes.
and then his friend came because he brought him after he had had
There
so
you
much
go.
success. So
That's a
that was great.
win. That's a success
So
story.
these guys are like 6'3" and like big guys, and they do physical labor, and so they're big and they're strong, but they're what I call farm strong.
Yep.
So super strong, built like a brick shit house, like strong, not necessarily well connected.
Right. Yeah.
And so working with them is a joy because they've got this strength, but we can kind of like harness the power of all their horses to run in the same
Totally.
direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. So I
Yes.
do like working with men for sure, but I love working with women. And I'll tell you who I don't like working with,
Sure.
kids.
Really?
Yeah. I have kids. I mean, I like my own kids.
Right. Right. Yes.
I work with young athletes, and
Mhm.
they're a bit of a different breed in that they're accustomed to being trained. You
Yes.
know, they're accustomed to taking direction and they're accustomed to working hard. I don't enjoy having a room full of 6 to 12-year-olds who are giggling and just not listening. And I
Yeah.
sent my kids to daycare. Some teachers like that, and I have teachers who like working with kids. And
For
so,
sure.
I mean, I don't offer classes for children, and I don't offer mom and me, and it's not my thing.
Not
And
feeling.
and for the people who do it, I'm glad it's their thing. They can do
For
that.
sure. Exactly. Everyone has a calling, and that's not mine.
Not mine. I have
Yeah.
my own children. I stopped at 2, and here we are.
Right.
Yep.
That's so funny. But that's great. I mean, I think that that's, as we just made light of that, but the reality is that there's a lot of people who just say, I'll take everybody. I love everyone. I'll work with everyone. And I think that that's destructive because one,
Yeah.
you don't really harness, like you said, that superpower of doing what you're best at and
Yep.
just really getting good at that. And
Yep.
two, like, you're okay at everything. Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just be
exactly.
okay
And
at everything.
and I've had to let clients go over the years, which the first couple times started with many sleepless nights and feeling nauseous for several days, but you kind of get used to it because you and I haven't had to do it very often, but 6 or 7 times in almost 15 years. And it's just, you learn
It's
when
never
those
fun.
people, no, but they're sucking energy from you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. I've had a guy that I was supposed to, someone referred him to me, and he was like this, he was a home builder and he's really, really affluent. He does like MMA and he brags about his cars and his fighting and stuff like that. And he's out of shape. And someone referred him to me because he was doing Pilates at that studio. And she thought, I'd be a good fit for him. So I went to his house, and as soon as I pulled up, he's like, what kind of car do you have? Oh, I have the same car, but I did this to it. What other? And it was just like this one up. Every time I said anything, oh, I have one of those, and it's 10 times better kind of conversation.
Right.
And then as we got into doing our work, he was like, he would do the exercise and then he would be like, oh, you know, he's acting like he knows what's next and all these different things. So after a while, I realized that this is not gonna
Right.
work because he's not really keen to learn. He thinks he
Yeah.
knows it all,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. So all those things. So even
Yep.
though as fun as it is to work with strong guys, and he's a fighter, and I can see his posture, there's a sense of when you're excited about something and trying to assert the fact that like I'm actually the expert in the room right now, like you're good
Right.
at everything, and
Right.
that's great that you race cars and you're all these different things and you're building $1 million homes, but I'm the authority right now.
Right.
And when we couldn't establish that type of relationship, I recognize that like I'm not gonna try and sell this guy. I'm not gonna pitch it to him. I'm just gonna try and give him a good workout as much as he'll listen to me, and then peace
Right.
out. And
Right.
sure enough, like I never heard from him again. Like and
Right.
it's interesting as much as like we think that we have this right combination and this the right person, all those things that if the person doesn't have if they have too much of an ego or they're not really even keen to learn, even if they appreciate what Pilates is,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
No, and I that kind of makes me think of the stay in your lane kind of thing. Like,
Yes.
that guy just needed to stay in his lane and let you do your job because that's what you were there to do. And if you were out to have a house built, you would need to stay in your lane unless you're like a master carpenter and I don't know about it. You know, if he's recommending products or materials or designs or, like
Yeah, that's his area of expertise.
yeah, yeah. And that's kind of a pet peeve of mine in the fitness industry.
Go on.
Yes, well, since we're here having this conversation, we might as well talk about it.
Yes.
Just people not staying in their lane.
Mm.
You know, someone who maybe is a really great personal trainer in whatever their modality is, and then all of a
Yes.
sudden they start dishing out nutritional advice, or
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, I can probably tell my clients that an avocado is better for them than French fries, for example, but I
Yes.
don't have a degree in nutrition.
Right.
I know how to eat healthy and I can
Mhm.
give very limited advice, but that's quite out of my scope of practice. I mean,
Yep.
I'll be graduating with a master's in kinesiology, hopefully in the fall. And
Yes.
that, I say hopefully, COVID's been
Hopefully.
interesting, but, and that will certainly give me some scope for
Hmm.
certain topics for sure.
Right. Right.
But all of it doesn't all of a sudden make me an expert in all topics. So I think it's
Yes.
important that people kind of, if you're a Pilates expert, stay there, but you don't need to give advice on the best physiotherapy exercise for a frozen shoulder. That's not what we
Mhm.
do.
Okay. That's true, and I agree with that when I see that happen all the time.
Yeah.
However, when we look at Return to Life, Mr. Pilates himself is telling people
Yeah.
how to sleep and
How to
how to
shower.
shower
Yeah.
and how to play and what
Yes.
to eat and what to do with insomnia and like
Totally. Didn't
what
stay
do
in
we
his
do with that?
lane.
Didn't stay in his
Didn't
lane,
stay in
my
his lane
friend.
either.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Totally. Yep.
Right. So, I mean, it's interesting, right? So, I think that the way I've said that in the past is just know when to refer.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Know when to refer.
Because, and also as professionals, have those people in your hip pocket. So, do you have, and for
Yeah.
those of you in the comment section, give me a thumbs up if you have, uh, a chiro that you refer everyone to, or a physio, or a RMT, or a nutritionist. Who are those people in your talking social work in your circle of care that you can send people to that they are your referral base? Do you have that? Because I think that when you have those people, then you don't have to worry about overstepping your boundaries. Like if I'm talking,
Exactly.
yeah, if I have a client and they're like, I think I might have IBS, it's like, okay, well, here's Noreen's number. Like that, I don't have to touch it. I can be like, here's my person that I send everyone to. I think I have
Yep.
inflammation. So, well, here's their number. Oh, my shoulder's really bad. Well, right across the hall, Oliver's awesome. I want to refer to him. And then we elevate ourselves as professional when we can recognize and
Yes.
when to hand off. So we don't have to be all things to
Yes.
all people.
Yeah, and it allows us to really do what we do best because my
It
time is
frees us
better
to.
spent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, my time is better spent doing that thing that I'm really good at than
Mhm.
trying to do the little things that I might not be good at. So Yeah, we have, even as clients, we have orthopedic surgeons and GPs and massage therapists and physios and chiros, and we have all of these people within our client profile. And so,
Right.
yeah, we're always doing this cross referral thing for sure. And as teachers, we've all had injuries or issues of our own, whether it's parenting issues or, we have a vast network of community that we can use to refer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. The guy that I have on Friday, Neil Prasad, is a marketing guy who has nothing to do with the fitness industry.
Right. Cool.
And he's been a massive help to me. So it's been fun. So it'll be interesting to have like much like I had Shay Pierre last week, who's
Mm-hmm.
like he's just a sport conditioning specialist guy, so doesn't know the Pilates world either. And
Yep.
having different voices in the room, it really
Yes.
does, influence what we do. Who was it? I think Adam McCady was on, and he said the best thing that any Pilates instructor can do in terms of their education is take another course that has nothing to do with Pilates.
Right. Right.
Go do a squat and deadlift workshop, do a kettlebell workshop, do a functional movement screen workshop. Like
Mm-hmm.
add tools to your toolbox is the best thing you can do for your Pilates practice.
Yep. Yeah. I have a running coach, so I
Hmm.
I run, and yeah. I mean, I'm a smart person. I've got a kin background, and I've been an
You're an
athlete.
athlete.
I could put together a running program for myself, but that's not my lane. So I have a running coach, and she takes care of all my running needs. That's her job. I
Right.
have a personal trainer. I train twice a week, weight training. My body needs that. It doesn't diminish the fact that I'm a really great Pilates teacher because I'm reaching out to other specialists for those things that I do.
Yes.
My husband and I were out for a walk a couple weeks ago, and because the snow's finally gone here in New Brunswick.
So
It's
much for selling
finally,
points for New
yeah,
Brunswick.
no, New Brunswick is cold in the winter. So we were out for a walk, and he said to me, he goes, "Do you worry?" He goes, "Don't take this the wrong way. Do you worry that your clients think less of you or less of the Pilates that you offer, knowing that you go to someone else for personal training or that you go to someone else for your running coaching? Or does that concern you that they'll think that you're not valid? You're not,
Yes.
authentically the best teacher if, you're
Fair
outsourcing." He's
question.
like,
Yeah.
"Well, yeah, sure." And I said, our bodies need more than just Pilates. We need to do so much more than that. Pilates is fantastic. And if it's all we do, it's pretty good.
Hmm.
But I love to move, and I love to move in all kinds of ways, and I need to have really strong cardio, and I need me physically, like I and mentally.
Yes.
I love the weight training piece, and I love to trail run. And so Pilates keeps me agile enough that I can trail run and jump over the log that all of a sudden appeared in front of me.
Yeah.
Or I can
Right.
catch my balance when I slip on leaves or on ice or whatever. And for our
Hmm.
clients, Pilates gives them the ability to garden and to play hockey on weekends as a weekend warrior, or,
Right.
to chase after their kids' soccer team and, help coach. Or so it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole completed puzzle.
Absolutely. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree with that 100%. I've heard people say like Pilates is my sport, and I'm always very quick to challenge that because I feel like what you just said there, that Pilates helps us in it's for ease of life to do the things that we do
Yeah.
better, easier, stronger, without
Yeah.
injury or less injury, or
Yeah.
to bounce back from injury faster.
Yep.
So there's so many elements that I don't want Pilates to be it. I want
That's right.
it to help you with the other stuff that you do, make that easier.
Yeah, I mean, new clients often come and say, "How many times a week should I be coming to Pilates?" It's like, well, what else are you doing? Are you sitting only on the couch and doing nothing else? Then I need to see you 3 times a week. Are you running twice a week and cycling with your kids and playing hockey and weight training and doing some online hit training with someone as well? Okay, once a week is going to be great. It's going to add to that and you're going to learn from it. So
Yes.
it's just a piece of the total package. The people that are sitting on the couch need us at least 3 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my wife had this great idea for a program. I'm gonna say it here out loud,
Out loud.
out loud, so everyone can hear it, and they heard it here first. When I was talking with I wrote Barbara Grant last week, and
Mm-hmm.
we were chatting, we were having this conversation about getting people moving and these things. And my wife in the comment section put like a light bulb icon, which means she has an idea. Call me as soon as you get offline because I have the
Love
next
it.
thing. So she's Brent. She's Core Conversations. The names all the stuff. Couch to Cadillac.
Yeah, nice. Love it.
That's totally her. And what it is you're speaking to is like, yes, we have people who do a million things, and this Pilates is adding to and complementing their training, and we're coming
Right.
alongside them in their fitness journey and all that warm fuzzy stuff.
Yep.
For the person who's doing zero,
Zero.
and they're what I call those court ordered people who the doctor says you're 47 and you're going to die at 48 if you don't start exercising.
Yeah.
Them, couch to Cadillac. How do we
That's
get them
funny.
moving, doing their mat work at home online? They like that. They join a group. They go to class. They like that. They sign up for a one-on-one with you. You introduce them to the apparatus. They learn what a
Yep.
Cadillac is. They're going from their couch to the
To the
Cadillac.
Cadillac. Yeah. You'll have to use a picture of Claire's Cadillac for that because hers is pink. So it like there's that pink Cadillac kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if my dudes will go for that, but sure.
Well, you know, the iconic pink Cadillac
Oh,
that we hear
for
about. Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And it's so funny in modern day, I'm a car guy. So I think if Joseph Plies are around today, he might have called it a Bentley
Oh,
or, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, because like
An
Cadillac
Austin
was the,
Martin.
and I, yeah, exactly.
He could have
So that,
called it the Martin.
he could have. There you
See?
go. You know, let's rebrand it. Let's just call everyone right now and just change the
Just
name.
let's change the name. My son is a huge car guy. He's amazing. He knows like everything there is to know about vehicles, whether it's
Nice.
like military vehicles or fast cars. Or we watched the James Bond films. We watched them in order from Dr. No, the very first one,
Did
all the way up
you?
to modern. Yeah, and
Solid.
Maxim is like, oh, that's a such and such S
That's an
model,
Aston
blah
Martin.
blah. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, he knows all these things. It's great.
Nice. We'll be fast friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yes. Very cool. So yeah, so that's the thought, the couch to Cadillac. And so I want to just like build that out and see what that looks like. Because I think that there's so many of us that want to work with elite athletes and we want to get those movers and we want to help people get to the next level with their
Mm-hmm.
fitness. And there's a lot of people who are want to start somewhere and this equipment behind us is scary.
It can be. Yeah.
And you know, and it's expensive and all these different things. But like what you said, there is an entry point for everybody and let's get them moving.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Good stuff. So do you have any online classes or workshops or stuff that we can, you know, that you want to let people know about that we can follow you on or cheer you on with?
Yeah, I mean, we have a regular schedule of online classes like every other Pilates teacher on the globe as of last March.
Right.
We have a regular selection. I'm probably going to be doing a few more online workshops, some
Cool.
that would be more client based, talking about back pain and that kind of stuff. That's kind of my back pain is my that's my jam. That's what my master's is in, and that's where my
Okay.
research is and stuff. So I can speak intelligently to that community,
Yes.
and probably
Comfortably
some
from your
workshops
lane.
for, yeah, it's comfortably from my lane, yeah,
Yes.
and probably some workshops on the teacher training end of things as well. It comes
Mhm.
down to time, doesn't it? Because
Absolutely.
there's so much on the go, and I don't like really using the word busy because I think that's well, I think I'm very privileged to be able to say I'm busy, right? That's
Yes.
that's a good spot to be. But
Mm.
it's just about where I have time and where I've learned from COVID that I don't have to be a workaholic. I tend to err on that side. Like
Of course.
that's I don't I'm not, but you don't want to take me on a beach vacation. Like I'm not your beach vacation friend
Just
at
sit still.
all.
Yeah.
No, I go really twitchy really fast. I'm your let's go to Peru and hike up Machu Picchu and like
Yes.
explore, and I'm that vacation person. That's me.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't pick that up in the last hour at all.
No, really, eh? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
at all.
Shocking.
Yes, it's shocking. The well, that's you know when I spoke at Brink a few weeks ago, I used that line, and that wasn't even my takeaway, but someone brought it up again and again that I said I chose selectively to not say I'm busy, but
Mm-hmm.
instead to say I'm focused.
Yeah.
right? So if I'm talking to someone, say, sorry I didn't get back to you, I was really busy. I would say, sorry I didn't get back to you, I was really focused on this project that's rolling out on Friday. Or
Mm-hmm.
so just a change of my words so that it didn't seem like I'm out of control with 19 things and no sense of balance. I've
Yes.
chosen to lock into this one thing, which means I'm going to forsake all the stuff over here to do this well.
Yeah, words matter.
Words matter.
Words matter. I had this conversation with somebody just this week about the word I'm sorry and thank you. So
Mm,
and I don't even remember where I learned this or read this a long time ago. Don't apologize for things that you haven't done wrong.
right.
So some people say, to their clients, I'm really sorry I have to increase my prices. The hell? I'm not sorry I'm increasing my prices. I've come to that conclusion because I need to increase my prices. So when you phrase it like, thank you so much for being a long term client, I really appreciate you. Here's our new price list.
Yes.
So you thank them, right? Or,
Yes.
if you missed their phone call, thank you for reaching out to me. I was unavailable. I'm here now. Instead of,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm really sorry I missed your call. I might not be sorry that I missed their call because maybe I was doing something else that was important,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to still talk to them,
Yes.
right?
Words.
Yes, words matter.
Yes. That's a great closing thought. We didn't, this funny thing is that we didn't even talk about like keep moving and that whole idea of that. Um, but I think we hit it for the
I
most
think
part,
so.
which is, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I think we did a good job today.
Yeah, we did good.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to everyone who joined us today.
Thank
Uh,
you, everyone.
yes, Claire Tracy, I think I mentioned, is doing her Momentum Fest interviews at 1 o'clock. She has like Maria Earl on today, among other people. She's in Switzerland, I think. Pretty cool. Amy Ross, who is in Western Canada, she does a lot of work with that Pilates Fest North.
Oh my
And
goodness, my apprentices were watching. I'm just scrolling through this.
yeah,
I was talking about them.
yes. Oh, you're good. You didn't slander them in any way.
No, gosh, no, they're all amazing.
There you go. See, we're all good. Awesome. All right. So I will send you the replay of this later. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to working with you on stuff in the future and
Yeah,
promoting all the stuff
as
you got going on.
as soon as I can. My first airplane ride is to Toronto because I've got business there. I've got Pilates business and friends and Pilates friends and all the things. So
Yes,
we will have a glass of wine when we can.
absolutely. Sounds like a plan.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who joined us today. And we're out.
All right. Bye.
All right. See ya.